Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Security Policy. I've worked in computer security for a long time, and one rule is drilled into you from day one. Always lock your computer when you walk away. It doesn't matter if you're an accountant, a receptionist or a developer. You never ever leave your machine unlocked. It is that serious. About 10 years ago, we had a light-hearted way of enforcing this. If someone left their workstation unattended, a teammate might hop on their chat client or email and send something silly like, "Does anyone know the meaning of life?" or "Free pizza at my desk." It was harmless fun, but it served as a shame reminder. Better to get clowned on by your peers than get written up by actual security. Everyone laughed and everyone remembered to lock their machine. Then we got a new guy. On his first day, I introduced myself, gave him the usual welcome and pointed out the rule: lock your computer when you step away. He shrugged it off like it was beneath him. I even sent him the official policy so he'd know this wasn't me being picky. It was a hard rule. His response? Whatever. Then he deliberately walked off, leaving his computer wide open. For weeks he did this. Multiple warnings from me, from his own team, from other teams. He was smug about it. And the worst part, he was starting to get access to sensitive systems. At that point he wasn't just being careless, he was being reckless. So the team decided he'd had enough friendly reminders. Time for consequences. One afternoon I saw him heading toward the elevators, which meant he'd be gone for a while. His computer? Wide open. I sat down, typed a silly little message to his team's distribution list, hit send and walked away. Of course he caught me as I stood up, demanded to know what I was doing. I just shrugged and said, whatever. A couple hours later his manager came by. Apparently, Newbie was furious. He didn't want to play that game. He was even considering reporting me to security for impersonating him. Fine, you don't want the fun version? You can have the official version. I gathered my team and a few others and told them, no more playful reminders. If you see his machine unlocked, don't touch it. Just log a security violation ticket, per policy. Within 2 days, almost 50 tickets were filed. His desk was right by the elevator and break room, so dozens of people walked past his glowing, unattended screen. Each one filed a ticket. The following Monday he was in security retraining. I could see him from my desk, angrily gesturing at his manager and glaring at me. Not my fault. I'd only opened 2 tickets myself. His manager eventually asked me to ease up. Sorry, I told him. If I don't report these violations, I am the one liable. For one glorious day, the guy actually locked his computer. Then Tuesday morning, I walked by, and there it was again. Wide open, email front and center. He was off getting coffee. I mentioned it to him as I passed. He swore at me and sprinted back. But the damage was done. By then, half a dozen more tickets had already been filed. And here's the kicker. Policy had recently changed. No more 3 strikes. It was retraining, then straight to disciplinary action. By the end of the week, he was gone. No one wanted to ruin his career. We gave him every chance to do the bare minimum. But if you work in security and you can't follow the single most basic security rule, you don't belong there. The next story is called Vacation Policy. A few years ago, when I was working as a commissioning engineer, my schedule was about 60% field service and 40% office work. By the time October rolled around, I had built up about 10 days of overtime that I hadn't scheduled yet. At this company, we were allowed to use accrued overtime as vacation days. That worked out perfectly for me, because if I took it as cash, I'd get hammered with taxes. I didn't really need the money, so extra time off made far more sense. One day, my boss called me into his office. He told me I should plan out when I wanted to take those days. But of course, there were conditions. I couldn't take them all at once. I couldn't take them on Fridays. Now, I had already scheduled 3 weeks of proper vacation over Christmas. so I figured he was worried I'd try to string all my overtime onto that and disappear for 5 straight weeks. And the no Fridays rule? That was pretty transparent. He didn't want me taking long weekends by ducking out of field trips on Tuesday nights. So I sat at my desk, pulled up my calendar and started thinking. Should I burn the days as 2 full weeks? Or maybe sprinkle them across extended weekends? Then I had a much better idea. Wednesdays. 10 overtime days. 10 Wednesdays in a row. Every week I worked Monday and Tuesday, took Wednesday off, then came back for Thursday and Friday. Rinse and repeat. Starting the very next week, I was suddenly unavailable for any field trips. After all, if I was gone every Wednesday, I couldn't exactly fly out somewhere on Monday, be on site Tuesday, and then abandon the project midweek. That meant for 3 solid months I didn't set foot on a single field job. And on top of that, I still had my 3 weeks of Christmas vacation lined up. My boss was not happy when he realized what I had done. But the beauty of it was, I had followed every one of his rules to the letter. I hadn't taken all the days at once. I hadn't taken a single Friday. He couldn't say a thing. So for 3 months straight, I enjoyed my midweek overtime holidays. And there wasn't a single thing he could do about it. The last story is called Promised Promotion. A few years ago, I started a new position. From day one, my manager encouraged me to pursue my professional licensure, promising that once I achieved it, I'd be promoted to assistant manager. Over the years, I had already proven myself. I had the office running smoothly, earned everyone's trust, and even carried the informal title of assistant to the manager. The promotion was supposed to be the natural next step. There was just one catch. Licensure required a bachelor's degree. At that point, I didn't have one. So I committed. I went back to school online. First to finish my associates, then continuing directly into a bachelor's program. It wasn't easy balancing work and classes, but I stuck with it. By this year I was set to graduate, fully on track to meet every prerequisite for the state exam in December. And then the goalposts moved. Early in the spring, my manager started hinting that the assistant manager role might not exist under the new ownership. The excuse? The new owners didn't think the company was big enough to need assistant managers. Instead of the $20,000+ raise and formal recognition I'd been working toward, I was told I could maybe expect a $6,000 raise. Maybe. Since higher education supposedly brought more pay in other departments. Then it became, well, without the title change, there can't be any raise. And then came the kicker. The words every underappreciated employee knows too well. If you want more money, you'll have to leave. Alright boss, message received. Now, aside from the string of being lied to after years of dedication, I also had very practical concerns. I had taken out small student loans to cover the cost of my bachelor's, and repayment was coming due after graduation. I needed that raise. So, quietly, I reached out to a colleague in the field. I handed over my resume and simply asked them to keep me in mind if they heard of any openings later in the year. I wasn't expecting anything immediate. Maybe something would come up by December. But the universe had other plans. Within weeks, early July, I was suddenly being contacted for interviews. Not for jobs I applied to, but for opportunities my colleague had passed my name along to. By the end of the month, I had not only interviewed but accepted an offer. And here's the best part. The pay was more than the meager $6,000 raise I'd been told was the best I could hope for. When I sat down with my manager to give notice, I got to witness his shocked face. They never saw it coming. I was gracious, of course. I gave a notice period longer than the industry standard. I wrapped things up, kept everything professional, and left on good terms. The new job does come with a slightly longer commute, but the company culture and pay make it more than worth it. And through the grapevine, I hear my replacement is still struggling with the basics of the job I'd been doing effortlessly for years. Turns out when you tell a loyal employee that the only way to make more money is to leave, sometimes they'll take you at your word. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, Please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.